I was just having a very interesting conversation with somebody, and we were talking about when you lived through a situation in your past that was very painful and very uncomfortable, and it reminded you of other painful, uncomfortable situations that you went through when you were a kid. You know, so there's a habit of, okay, you know, this painful, uncomfortable stuff happened then, and now I'm in a situation and it kind of pushes those same buttons, and I'm reacting in the same way. And so I was telling him about how I tease people here about digging ourselves in a hole and jumping in it and decorating it, and then shouting, to the world, why have you put me here and why don't you rescue me? You know, so we're talking about how important it is to heal from the past and not to carry the past along with us. And so in this whole thing, you know, he was seeing that he has one way of doing things and he's one kind of person. And in these situations, there were other people who had other needs, who operated on other kind of premises. You know, he tends to be somebody who's, let's say, more of a risk taker and an experimenter and explorer, and then there's the people that he was with were more conservative and wanted everything to be secure, and so it was very frustrating for him to work with them, and it, you know, pushed all these buttons from being excluded and da-da-da-da from the past. And so we were saying how, yeah, well, there's two different ways, and probably even more than two different ways of doing things. There's the person who's, you know, progressive and jumps in and takes risks, and there's a person who's more conservative and does things more slowly and methodically. And I said, and isn't it wonderful that there's all these different ways of doing things? And he went, you know, he was really quiet. And it was like that, I think, was the missing piece. Because, you know, sometimes when we're in a situation, we feel like, I'm so frustrated, you know, because I'm like this and these people are doing it the opposite way and I'm so frustrated. And then seeing it as, well, the way for me to get over my frustration is for these people to change and do things the way I want them to, my way of doing things, you know? And how that's not really the issue, yeah? The issue is that there's more than one way of doing things. And people are entitled to choose in this world what way of doing things they like. And they all have certain advantages and certain disadvantages. So we may be one way, somebody else may be another way, but we don't have to get frustrated and angry about our differences. Yeah, and we don't have to build up a big story about the fact that we have different styles or go about things in different ways. Yeah, and so that was, you know, to really think about it, it's very true. You know, not everybody needs to do things my way. Yeah. And gee, there can even be people I like and respect that do things in a totally different way than I do things. And that's good, that there's more than one way, because not everybody's going to fit into one category, into one box. Yeah. And so really appreciating that. And then he was concerned, well, you know, maybe my way frightens them, and if I'm going around being with these people, they'll get frightened of my way or irritated by my way. And I said, if you have kindness in your heart, because he's really working to develop kindness, if you have kindness in your heart and you go in that situation, don't worry about people being afraid of you. That's not going to happen. And, you know, don't worry about people being threatened of your way of doing things, because if you have a kind heart, you're going to come across as kind and tolerant and inclusive of a variety of different ways of doing things and a variety of approaches. And, you know, don't worry about them being put off or, you know, uncomfortable. So it was a really good discussion, and I'm relaying this to you because I think it's something that to some extent we're all working with, aren't we? You know, especially when we encounter situations now that push our buttons from past things, and then we just, you know, start acting out our own habits instead of looking back into the past and saying, yeah, that happened that way. And I responded that way, but the way I responded isn't a given in that situation. You know, even stuff that we had happen to us when we were little, you can have two kids experience the exact same thing, and they'll come out of it differently. Because our experiences are not objective things. They're what we experience is also how we respond to the situation. You know, what we pick out, what we emphasize, how we how we interpret things. And so to loosen conceptions of the past that are very fixed, you know. And this is all part of meditation on impermanence and meditation on emptiness. You know, this is where this kind of way of thinking, it's dissolving this fixed idea of this, here's who I am, that's forever shaped by this. And then also, you know, rejoicing that there's a variety of different kind of people who do things a different way, and isn't that wonderful? And I don't need to get mad at them because they go about things differently than I do. And I don't need to expect them to do things my way either. And I can be friendly and happy and kind.
Myself, I use it as a compliment. And I'll give an example. I tend to be fast. And I see in some aspects it's profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And other aspects, because I'm fast, I see also that I miss some parts.
Mm.
And what I'm learning to is to honor, like I did fast and it was okay, and if somebody is triggered, I let it go, because there's nothing it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see that I'm missing parts, I use it to say, see, this is one of your lack, where you need to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to honor my quick,
Mm-hmm.
and also honor where the lack of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite good. You know, like, I don't know if it came across well. So she was saying she tends to be quick, and in that way she can get a lot of things done and take advantage of a lot of good circumstances. Yeah, and sometimes other people are kind of left standing in the dust. But then also, there's other people who do things more slowly, and they'll pick up a lot of things that are also quite important and beneficial that you have missed because you were so quick. Yeah, and so what you're doing is you're accepting that you tend to be quick, and so sometimes people react to that, and you can respond to their reaction with patience. And at the same time, you can respect the fact that they do pick up on things that you've missed, and you can respond. You can take that in and respect that, and, you know.
It's not wrong to be quick, because it's useful sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's lack.
Right, right. So it's not a situation of right and wrong, good or bad. It's just there's different ways, and both have advantages and both have disadvantages. Yeah. And I think that's very, very important to hold, because we always tend to hold my way is the right way, you know, and everybody should do things my way. But it's actually so good that there's a variety, because that way we get all the input, and, you know, different people see different things.